You're listening to the Educated Cowgirl podcast, episode 17. Well, I think George Strait said it best when he sang "How About Them Cowgirls," because there have been so many cowgirls in the Western and equine industries that have done some incredible things. From the rodeo world, breed shows, to the beef industry, and more. Cowgirls today have really stepped up to lead the way towards how they are using their voices to take action, move their feet, and make things better for the industry as a whole. And today's guest is someone who has pioneered a lot of those amazing things for the industry her entire life and career. I feel so incredibly blessed to say that I have known her, I have worked for her, and looked up to her my entire life. Patti Colbert is a legendary cowgirl in the Western and horse worlds, with her boldness to take on big leadership roles for women in the industry. In this episode, you will hear our very candid conversation on her experiences in the industry, knowledge, and what she is doing now to help cowgirlpreneurs everywhere to go after their dreams, passions, and purpose wholeheartedly and work hard to make them a reality. I had so much fun talking with her and feel so much more inspired after our conversation that I can't wait for y'all to hear it. So, without further ado, let's get into my conversation with Patti. Hey, and welcome to the Educated Cowgirl podcast, hosted by yours truly. My name is Abby Carpenter, and I am a cowgirl and equestrian through and through. I started this podcast wanting to make more of an impact in the equine industry. That's why I am making it my mission to help promote the industry to the public through sharing my love for horses through education and bringing other experts and professionals onto the podcast with me to discuss important topics that impact the horse community. So whether you are a crazy horse lady like me, want to learn more about horses, or want to learn more about the industry, you've come to the right place. On this podcast, we will be talking about ownership, horsemanship, fitness, faith, breeds, and so much more. We believe that it doesn't matter what type of saddle you ride in or the breed of horse you may ride. We all contribute to this community to make it great, and that there is always something to learn from the back of your horse. So grab a coffee and get ready to take some notes, and let's get started. This is the Educated Cowgirl podcast. All right, so welcome back to the podcast, everyone. And today I have a very special guest that I have known my entire life and is such an inspiration. She is a cowgirl. She has received an award from the National Cowgirl Hall of Fame. She's been inducted into the Texas Cowboy Hall of Fame. She's a businesswoman and an accomplished competitor. But before I get too carried away, I will go ahead and let her introduce herself to y'all, what she does, and a fun fact about yourself.
Well, Abby girl, my name is Patti Colbert. I live in Georgetown, Texas. I'm 72 years old. I've been in the industry probably 90% of my life. A fun fact, I guess, is that I love to dance. I just really enjoy. I have Tequila Tuesdays at my house for my girlfriend because I believe female camaraderie is very, very important. So I'm loving life and love you and your family. It's been such a big part of my life, and it's just I'm so proud of you, Ab. And I love the title Educated Cowgirl because it's really important to be smart in this day and age. So congratulations to you.
Thank you. And thank you for sitting down with me today. So I think the best place for us to start is to talk about your background and how you grew up with horses and introduced to them, how you grew up in this industry, and then how that turned into your career and how that led to you to where you are now.
Well, I was really blessed to be born in an era where the Westerns were still a large part of what we saw on the television screen and on the movie screen. You know, that was a massive part of media, was the Roy and Dale and Fury and Flicka and John Wayne and all the horses that they rode. And, you know, they recognized the horses in their names and things. So by the time I could watch television, that was embedded in my mind because I'm a suburban kid. I was raised in the suburbs. My parents had nothing to do with agriculture. So it was just my dream world that I lived in and that I pursued. And probably the best thing that happened to me when I think back on it is that my parents made me raise the money in order to take riding lessons and in order to buy my first pony. So I think it really taught me not to be afraid to ask for money and not to be afraid to figure out how to make money. And so it was it was deeply embedded in my brain that I wanted to be, ride buttermilk and act and be like Dale Evans. So it's been a real gift to have that. And it's fun to watch the resurgence. I mean, we sure don't want everybody to be Beth Dutton because she's a little rough around the edges. But to see this kind of reintroduction of the Western lifestyle into television, thanks to Taylor Sheridan, is really it's causing kind of some of those young girls to have those images in their mind about what it might feel like to ride a horse. So I really credit media with my passion and with my dreams.
Nice. And that just starting so inspiring for first generation cowgirls out there, that you do have to kind of, if you want it, got to go for it and stuff like that. So that's really good. Yes. So you've become such a legend in this industry with everything you've accomplished and done for it. I want to ask, over your lifetime, apart from having to raise the money yourself and all that stuff, were there any challenges or obstacles that stand out to you that you had to work through as a woman in this industry? And if so, how were you able to get through them?
Well, I think there's obstacles in every career, and you don't want to ride the fact that you're a girl. You don't want to play that card ever, because that doesn't put you in a good stead. No. But probably 80% to 90% of leadership that I dealt with was male, and so always respectful. I never put myself in a position or with anyone that was a challenge to me, physically or mentally. But you kind of have to. You gotta think like a man and you gotta act like a lady. And you cannot be afraid to try to make situations fall into your best favor by orchestrating. I guess some people could call it manipulation, but it's kind of easy, girls, to manipulate the male ego sometimes. And so that was not really what I would call a challenge, but it was part of what I did, and was blessed with working with some incredible guys like your dad and all of our peers. They were open-minded gentlemen and allowed me to have my crazy female ideas, which then they gradually partook of. But I think that's probably one of the deals. And one of my major challenges personally, which I do believe you young women have a better handle on it, was crafting balance in my life. I kind of went full tilt career path, which I think my family suffered for somewhat. Nobody's in jail or anything like that yet. But I did a poor job on balancing my work with my family. And so consequently, that's what I would certainly recommend, for women today, which I think they're doing a hell of a job with, and especially this whole movement on the work from home and the things like you're doing, Abby, crafting a career path where you can be in your home and be with your family and friends on a much easier basis, because I traveled a lot, and I think in the long run I would have kind of dialed that back just a little bit. Because
I think back in the day it was very hard for women to kind of have their career, but then they're expected, so when are you going to have kids? What are you going to do when you have kids? But now we're we're starting to be like, I can do both. I can
Yeah.
go out and train horses and while the kids are napping or while they're at school or whatever. So yeah, no, that's so true. Do you think there's any area where you think women aren't supported enough in this industry, or maybe they're just not represented enough in certain areas?
Well, I think if we can speak to the fact that we are the majority and we are decision makers, for example, the American Quarter Horse Association's membership is probably 75% female. I'm not just pulling that out of my ear. I mean, that's a fact. And I think a lot of the organizations will tend towards a larger female representation in their membership. So we have to have a voice, and you can't be a bitchy voice. I mean, you can't complain. You can't do what in the horse industry, I call it go out behind the barn and bitch, which is what people do. They won't come to the forefront. But I think if females will take an active role in making themselves available for nominations for leadership roles, for attending meetings and doing that. Meetings are a pain in the ass. It takes your time and those kinds of things. But if you'll lean into that just a little bit, experiment, see if there's a way that you can have a voice, a female voice within your whatever part of the industry you're in. And I don't want to just talk about horses. I mean, the cattle industry is hugely influenced by females.
Yes.
So it really is just taking action and being brave enough and confident enough. I mean, talk to yourself in the mirror. I mean, give a speech in the mirror, or get your thoughts together and do like you've done, Ab. Get notes and be prepared and attend things where you can actually physically show that you have a voice. I think that's what we all have to do as females in this business.
We have to advocate for ourselves more, because we didn't have a voice generations ago. So now we do have to advocate for ourselves, and we do have to speak up, even when there are some men who won't let us speak for themselves. So we have to put ourselves in those positions. And I think a lot of events like Art of the Cowgirl and Fancy Lady Cowgirl events like that, they're really good about helping women step up and support each other, which is great.
Very, very much so. Very much so. I credit a lot of my success built on hiring younger, smarter females. I mean, your dad, when he had his position at Colorado State University, and my friends that are at Texas A&M and others, I would just really put the word out that, hey, if you see a star out there, in any capacity, call me. And even if I didn't have an opening, I would try to craft an opportunity for these bright young women to come on board and help me in some way. And I just keep my mouth shut and try to learn a couple of words, maybe in technology or social or whatever, because I didn't know what it was. I didn't do that stuff. But if I got a young one in there like you that could talk about podcasts or could do those kinds of things, well, it made me look really good. So any of you out there in business and the opportunity for internships and paid and unpaid internships, just spread the ability to be exposed and to learn about the business. And younger, smarter will always make you look relevant. It's so important to be relevant when you walk into a meeting or you're with other like-minded people. The last thing folks want to hear is about the old days. So you have to have the right lingo in order to be respected anymore. And you do that by keeping people around you that are your age and younger. Even you, Abby. I mean, there's some 12-year-olds that could probably teach you some stuff about.
Yeah, I'm sure there is.
Younger, smarter is another thing that I always try to tell people.
Always being in the present, but looking to the future.
That's right.
That makes sense. That's so good. So as I mentioned in the intro, you're not just a cowgirl, you're a businesswoman, and you've already given such good advice for running a business. But with all the businesses you've had, from Mustang Makeover to the trail riding business you had, what has been the most rewarding part of your success in running these businesses, and what other advice would you have for others wanting to start or go into business for themselves?
Well, they always say that it's great if you're kind of passion driven, which I was blessed to be. Again, thank you, Roy and Dale. But I think that if you can find something that turns your crank, I mean, if you can find an area that does that, then you will get that reward. For example, as you saw when we did the trail ride business, when you see those people, could be a kid or could be a woman that's been dreaming of this for so long, and you get to share that opportunity with them is so rewarding. And we did a lot of the juvenile delinquency programs, the kids that were on probation out there, and letting them deal with 1,000-pound animal was just so inspiring and so life-changing. As horses in therapy, such a huge part of our business now is in equine therapy. Not my business, the horse industry has to be respected, because therapists are learning to use these horses, as you know, more and more all the time.
Yeah.
But that was probably rewarding. The other thing for me in the Mustang piece was creating a platform for people that are horsemen and women, but aren't necessarily motivated to the show pen.
Right.
They're the colt starters, or we used to use this term backyard horsemen, but they're these people that simply love animals, love these horses, have enough experience not to get themselves killed. And for us to create a platform for those folks to come and compete and meet like-minded folks. I mean, it became a family. It was just a family environment. So I think that was one of the greatest gifts that I gave to myself, was realizing that you don't have to be some super stud show horse person in order to achieve and get the same feeling and personal reward that we did with the Mustang makeovers, for sure.
Yeah, no, just the community driven part of both aspects of supporting each other and building each other up and learning from each other's
right.
So good.
Exactly. It was important.
Yes. So as we were talking about with working with younger people that are smarter, and I think that plays into trends. And as you know, trends come and go in this industry all the time. But what trends have you seen in your life or over the last few years that you think have benefited the industry for the better, whether it be on the social media side, competition, or in business? Where do you see it going in the future?
Well, it's fun to watch trendsetters. There are so many people that first, kudos to the breeders, to the really astute and knowledgeable breeders that continue to make better horses. I mean, we're involved in the rein cow horse industry right now, and to watch these horses get bigger and stronger, and as they go down the fence and they do these massively physical things, kudos to the Carol Roses in the world, and the people that had the eye for the horse, that just kept making them better and stronger. I really believe the whole ranch horse scene, which started, gosh, you could say in the 80s or 90s, when I was involved, it was in the American Quarter Horse Association, it was the pleasure horse industry, and the slow lopers and the slow trotters and that thing. Well, then this ranch horse thing started, and it just took off like crazy, because it gave people, I think, the confidence to, if they're going to enter into the deal, that, hey, if you can ride him out in the pasture, and he or the mare or gelding or stud are pretty handy, then you can do that. And that translated into, I mean, look where it's gone with the AQHA's dynamics has pretty much flipped, because the pleasure classes, as we've known them, are diminishing, and the ranch horse classes are blowing up. Yeah. And So I really believe that that's a huge trend in moving away from glitz and glitter into true movement,
Yes.
and into true forward movement. As you know, in the reining horse industry, you have to have a horse that has forward motion
Mm-hmm.
and balance in that. So it's been real fun to watch what I think this ranch influence is. And it's kind of a cool part of the lifestyle too.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
you just kind of you don't need that fancy stuff. You just
Mm-hmm.
need to take care of your horse,
Yeah.
and that horse will take care of you. So I think that's been a real movement towards moving away from artificial movement
Yeah.
into solid and healthy movement for the horse.
Perfect. Yeah. No. And yeah, it's definitely exploded across all breeds. Like I know with Arabians, we started ranch horse championships. I think we'll be on our 4th year this year of range horse championships, and just it's exploding. More and more Arabian people are starting to see that they can do it, not just quarter horses. So it's been amazing. So yeah,
That's cool.
yeah.
It is. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to be punchy.
Yes.
I enjoy being punchy.
Yeah, yeah. So something that I'm also very curious about, and I think is so exciting for the industry, and is what you started with Anna Morrison and Kate Byers, the Bosmere's company. Can you dive a little deeper into how that all started and what your mission is behind it?
Sure. Myself and several other women, probably a lot of women in the industry, if asked, believe in supporting other females, just like what you're
Mm-hmm.
doing in this podcast right now. And so, what we have done is we kind of came together. Anna Morrison, who has just spent a lifetime in the industry, she's a young woman, worked for A&M, worked for the NRCHA, worked for AQHA, has
Mm-hmm.
done a lot. And then Kate Bradley, and she's got her last name that's married, Kate Bradley something. I should know that
Byers.
by now,
Yeah,
but
Byers.
she's been Kate Bradley to me since she was a kid. But she's probably the best in social media and in growing platforms, growing businesses, things like that.
Yeah.
So again, here I was. Now pay attention, younger, smarter.
Yeah.
So I hooked up with two younger, smarter women, and we drafted an opportunity for women to help women. And so we're raising funds so that we can distribute grants. You can go to bossmaresinc.org, because we are a 501c3 nonprofit,
Mm-hmm.
and you can see what our goals are there. But we want to be able this year in 2024 to give $5,000, up to $5,000 grants to individual females who are in business, starting a business, we're not giving away scholarships, but if they want to do some extended education programs, things like that, or need help in mentorship where they need someone to help them prepare their taxes, or talk to a loan officer, or any kind of professional guidance. We want to make an opportunity for them to be able to get that done. So our grant program opened that February the 1st. It's online now. The applications are. We want to know a little bit about you. Not in depth. It's not a long, tirade of questions and things.
Right. Yeah.
But we want to know what your goals are. We want to know what you're already doing and what kind of investment you have in your current business. So we will be determining those grant recipients this summer, and then let them know. We've raised close to $70,000 in funds. Not to say we'll give all that away this year,
Right.
But I think we're going to be able to make a significant impact. And the most important thing that's going to happen are the stories that are going to come out of this.
Oh yeah.
Because it'll be, I'm going to use you, as an example. I mean, you've started your own business, you're doing a podcast, you're doing different things like that. But then for you to be able to tell your story about what you're going to do with these funds and how this is going to grow your business, it's female to female, and that's what works. So I'm really excited about it. We're going to continue to raise funds as we make this a long-term situation. There are relatively, I won't say there are none, but I don't think there's very many women, grant programs related to females in agriculture and Western lifestyle. It doesn't, when I say ag, you don't have to be out there on a tractor or riding a horse. You can make your own shirt company or eyeglass company with horses running across the top of it. So we're open to anything and everything, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch that. And we need support. We need anybody that's willing to contribute. You can just go to the website, or all of our contact information is there. You can reach out to us, and we'll bring you on board for sure.
Yeah, no, that's so good. And I have a friend who actually I recommended this to her, and she was like texting me like after she looked at the website, like, so what is this? And then like, what do I do? Because like you said, she's never done anything like this before. And so like, it is something very new. And I think it's going to be so good for the industry, for not only women, but the industry as a whole. But
I'll make sure you get, Abby, I'll make sure you get contact with some of these recipients that are willing to tell their stories, because I think
so many good
getting
stories
it on the podcast and out there about their story, and then how that grant helped them will be the real grease on the wheels.
Yeah, where they started to where they ended up or whatever. And what do you think, like we've touched on it, but what do you think this will also mean for cowgirls and equestrians in the industry having access to a grant like this, besides the stories that could come out of it?
Well, I just hope it makes them excited. Even if they don't get a grant, it's the physicality of moving your feet. I've been blessed enough to be involved in some of the veterans therapeutic programs. And the first thing that they tell the men and women that have been challenged by PTSD or other tremendous, so many things, is to move your feet. Is that if you sit and ponder, you don't get anything done. You got to get up and move your feet. So this is an opportunity with this grant to truly move your feet. I mean, make it happen. If you don't get it, fine, go on down the road and get something else. But motion, it creates motion. And I guess that, as another piece of advice, is you're not going to, you have to watch this sitting down in front of a computer all the time. I mean, you've got to go out and take a walk, and you've got to go out and meet people, and you've got to go out and do those kinds of things if you're going to be a successful business person. So, and I know I'm preaching to the crowd, because that is the good thing about our horse, is our horse makes us move. Even though, they say that, oh, it's good exercise riding a horse. Well, that's a bunch of bull. It's good exercise for the horse, but you better walk yourself if you want to get some exercise. Anyway, we digressed there, but it's going to be fun to watch, and it's going to be fun then to feed these stories back out to media and have them tell their own stories.
And seeing it passed down to the younger generations, the younger, smarter 12-year-olds can look up to these women that get these grants or whatever. So your heart for cowgirls is so amazing, and striving to make the industry better. But something else I love about this industry is how the lifestyle and the passion is passed down among generations. And in your family, the love of riding and the cowgirl lifestyle has passed down to your granddaughter, Mason. What does it mean to you that she is following in your footsteps and becoming quite accomplished herself?
Wow, that's a great question. Thank you for asking it. She's amazing. But she's wanted to, she's one of those people. It's like people that want to be a doctor, or people, a lawyer, or a something. They somehow get that really young. Mason got this when she was she just had to give a presentation for Texas Tech. When she was about 9 years old was the first time that we went to a Stock Horse of Texas show, a shot show. And she saw those double T's, Texas Tech, on those black shirts on the Texas Tech ranch horse team.
Yeah.
And by God, that's what she wanted to do ever since she was 9 years old. And the other thing is in life is that you have to be mounted right. I mean, I think it kind of reflects what we've been talking about in that, you know, not just the horse you're sitting on, but the environment you keep yourself in.
Right.
So it was important. Just like, hey, I remember some of your horses too. See,
yes,
I mean, you were mounted right with Puddin and Mac and Surfer and those great horses that your dad and I would find, and then I'd call your dad, and then he'd grab them to the girls.
Yes.
But, so I was able to keep her mounted on a horse that she could gradually progress with. And so, yeah, it's been a blessing. I just talked to her. She's headed to the National Rank Cow Horse Association celebration, and she's qualified for World's Greatest Youth.
Nice.
And so she'll be competing on her horse up there next week. So we're headed up there to watch her. But I also want to tell you about Lyle, my younger granddaughter, is a sophomore in high school. She plays 3 sports. She is a jock of all jocks and eats healthy and takes care of herself and keeps me on the straight and narrow.
Yeah.
So I'm so proud of both my girls. They're just, it's the gravy of life when you get to be a grandma that you can still, run around after them. So, it's been, and I know that Mason's dad, my son-in-law, Stephen Elliott, comes from the ranching industry. So this is going to continue way past me. And that ranching heritage is going to keep going through our family. So that's really exciting. Really exciting.
Yeah, just the generations and you just teaching both of your granddaughters, like, and your daughter, the power in a strong work ethic and going after what you want and everything. So that's so good.
Yeah. One of the great stats that we got in all the research that we did for all the various organizations your dad and I have been involved with, where we found that the overarching reason why folks enter the horse industry is family, is friends and family. Rarely do you find someone that just kind of strikes out and, and is motivated to go and start a relationship with horseback riding. It largely comes from influential family and friend members.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah. So all this has been so great. For one final question, picture this. You meet a cowgirlpreneur. Yes, I combined 2 words.
I like that word.
For the first time. What is the first word or advice that comes to mind that you would give to them?
Go for it. I mean, just go for it. Life is really about timing that you don't really always have a lot of control over. Things will come into your life at different times, and and you have to be able to take a really hard look at it at that time, even if it's a 90-degree turn. And so I think just all the things that we've talked about, Abby, all your great questions. And by the way, bravo. I've done a few podcasts, and you are as best prepared as anybody I've ever talked to.
Thank you.
So congratulations on that. It'll make you hugely successful with your organizational skills. But anyway, I really think that, timing is part of it, and don't pass something up. I mean, double down on it. If you've got a job, but yet this kind of little thing starts to happen over here, just bust your ass and go do that too, so that you can figure out if that's something that is that's going to fit into your world. Because if you can love what you do, you're ahead of this. You're just way ahead in life. You don't have to get rich. You don't have to do anything, but to have that joy in what you're doing is just incredibly valuable. And don't be afraid. I mean, I realized I was just giving your dad a lecture on this the other day. Because you get stuck in paycheck mode. You get stuck in, oh God, I gotta have a check. I gotta get paid. As opposed to being able to go out and contract and do an odd job that gives you some exposure, gives you some connection. My best friend, Gail Graham, has told me more than once when I'm whining about, oh, I don't know if I could do that. And she just says to me, Colbert, you ain't ever going to miss a meal. Just go ahead and do it. And that's pretty good advice right there, because, we're so blessed in this life that we're living that we're not going to starve. So go ahead and try it. Go ahead and try it on. What do you got to lose? And if it doesn't work, get out.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say this. Why the hell not? So it's kind of like a lot of people should ask themselves that question. So that's so good.
That's a great bumper sticker. I like it. Why not?
Nice. Yeah.
I'm stealing that one.
All right. So I like to end my interviews with a little this or that game. I'll give you 2 different options and you can choose which one you prefer. Breakfast or dinner?
Ooh, dinner with a glass of wine.
Nice. All right. Spring or summer?
Oh, spring. Are you kidding me? I live in Texas. It was like 120 this summer.
Nice.
It was awful. Yeah, spring.
Mares or geldings?
Oh, never a mare. God dang those bitches. I mean, I've just been through 2 of them, and no more.
All right, you're gelding gal. All right. So with cow horse, this is a little tricky question, but reining or cutting?
Oh, cutting, because you have to. I think you have to. Oh, I don't know. You don't have to remember shit. That's for one thing, except not to lose your cow. But that reining pattern and that 3.5 turns is a killer. So yes, I'd rather do cutting. And my horse is good on a cow, so that's fun.
Nice. All right. Sweet or salty?
Oh, sweet. Chocolate every day.
Nice. All right, Patti, this has been so fun to talk with you today and hearing your story and your knowledge of the industry and everything. For those interested, where can they go to connect with you more and learn more about Boss Mares?
Well, they can go to the website, bossmaresinc.org, and they can find out all about Boss Mares there. I sure don't mind on your podcast if you want to post my email address or things. I'm happy to talk to anybody about the industry. I think when you get to be an old goat, that's about all you can do is try to share some of your knowledge, if it's relevant. I promise I won't tell old stories about your dad and I, kicking dirt somewhere. But it's really trying to be relevant, and talking with young people like yourself keeps me relevant. So I'm so proud of you, Ab. It's been so fun to watch you on this journey of all of the facets that you've tried, and this one fits you really well, baby.
All right, thank you.
Really well.
Thank you so much for being on today. I hope you enjoyed listening to Patti's advice and hearing about the knowledge she has gained from her experience in the industry. And she continues to learn because, as she said, it is important to stay relevant in this industry, and we do that by continuing to talk to each other and work together as a community to make change happen. If you're interested in learning more about Boss Mares, want to find out how you can support them, apply for a grant, or if you want to connect with Patti herself, I have put the links to the website in the show notes, as well as Patti's social media and email. I also would love to know how you liked this episode by sharing about it on your Insta stories and tagging me at The Educated Cowgirl. And make sure you head over to Apple Podcasts or Spotify and leave me a rating and review. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of the Educated Cowgirl podcast. I hope you enjoyed it, learned something new, and will come back for more. But for now, stay blessed and ride on, cowgirls.